we've seen today that I've seen reports anyway. If I can get to it, I think it was on the BBC website where Aldi and Lidl and all the supermarket chains, there's all sorts of deals that they're making at the moment between them to, obviously alleviate the strain on the supply lines of food, etc. And they're scaling back. For instance, I heard them say the 17 different types of sausages have now come down to 7, that sort of thing. Limiting our range of choice, which really we don't need. I mean, it's just pathetic, especially with the size differences of some things. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, there's obviously, they're hiring more people as well. See if I can find it. So here it is. Supermarkets Tesco, Asda, Aldi and Lidl go on hiring spree. Supermarkets have gone on a hiring spree as demand surges as a result of the coronavirus crisis. Tesco, Asda, Aldi and Lidl say they would hire thousands of staff after hugely increased demand saw shoppers clearing shelves. That move came before the government said it would pay the wages of workers at firms affected by the pandemic, and Sainsbury's has asked shoppers to stay a metre away. And like I say, I think the panic is starting to subside, and people and calmer heads are starting to prevail in the public now anyway. And we've got another couple of months of this, so we can clear our heads and start thinking straight. But what I was thinking here was, I mentioned it in a tweet last night. Our lives for the next 2-3 months are now basically going to depend on the people who are most persecuted and most underpaid and most put upon, and most whose working rights and what have you have been eroded, and working conditions have been eroded by capitalism. And I'm thinking specifically, obviously, of the nurses and the doctors who are totally underpaid. Our lives are now in their hands. The government's lives and the families of the MPs, etc., all their lives and the lives of their families are now in the hands of these people who they have been screwing left, right and centre by getting rid of their jobs and crappy pay for junior doctors, etc., etc., etc. Now, our lives are in their hands, and their lives are in their hands. You see my point. And then you've got these workers. Oops. Then you've got these workers who have just been, there's going to be a hiring spree. What's going to happen when all of this subsides? What's going to happen? Those thousands of extra staff, where are they going to go? Is that going to be a guaranteed job? Or what sort of rights are they going to have? Are they just going to be, used and then sacked in a few months? And then I started thinking about it, and we started talking, and I started thinking, hold on a minute. So the people whose lives our lives now depend on, are not only the nurses and the doctors, but also the Amazon delivery drivers and the Amazon workers, because obviously there's going to be a hell of a lot more home deliveries while this crisis is going on. You see where I'm going here. And Amazon workers have been screwed the most with stories, it's horrific stories of them having to pee in bottles because they're not afraid to take a break. They're too afraid to take a break, take a pee break, because 3 strikes and you're out, you lose your job. Stories over in America of, it was cheaper for Amazon to have ambulances on standby outside the factory than it was to have the air conditioning inside the factory. So rather than give them air conditioning, the workers, they decided, now we'll just hire 2 ambulances to put outside. Now our lives depend on these people. People have got to realise something. These people who've been fucked, who've been screwed, you at home watching this right now, Think about it. You've got a real opportunity. Because these Amazon workers right now could just go, nah, fuck you, and down tools. These shop workers who, you know, these are going to be temporary staff. I guarantee you, these are temporary staff that are going to be hired. Temporary. And then if things don't change, they're going to be cast aside in a few months. You know it's going to happen. And how much they're going to get paid? They're going to get paid well? Are they going to get paid the shitty minimum wage? Our fucking lives depend on them right now. They've got to work shitty minimum wage as well. I was talking to somebody in the transport industry, and he's, you know, there's going to be massive extra pressure on the transport industry to deliver all the food up and down the country during this crisis. These people who have, you know, I don't want to be too fine a point in it, but honestly, you speak to some long-distance lorry drivers in this country, and you see how it used to be 20, 30 years ago, a long-distance lorry driver, you could have a house, you could have a car in the garage, you could have your 3 kids, you could do really quite well. You could do as well as the boomers did years ago. Just being a long-distance lorry driver in this country 20, 30 years ago. Not anymore. Why? Because, you know, people are cheaper, especially labour from other countries, you know, in the EU. Maybe, I mean, the licence over here just to go through your HGVs and become a long-distance lorry driver, it's thousands. Thousands. If you're from somewhere in Eastern Europe, and I don't want to mention a country here just because, you know, you see the point, this is not an accurate description, I'm just doing it for effect, but, you know, they jump in the cab and drive 20 yards down the street, jump out, and there's your licence. They work longer hours, less wages. That's what people have seen in this country. People have seen the erosion of their lifestyles and their wages. You know, Western wages slide down to Eastern European levels. So efficient exporters and companies and big companies can compete with China on the global scale. That's essentially what neoliberalism is. And we've got an opportunity right now to fucking kill it dead. Dead. To kill it. Dead. Stab, stab. Far be it from me to tell these people, listen, if you want to strike, oh my God, that would be a great opportunity right now. But I wouldn't. You've got leverage, is what I'm saying. We've got leverage right now. Our lives are going to depend on these people. And I think, you know, this hiring driver, if I was actually going to, you know, go and get a job here, I'd be definitely making sure that, yeah, I've got some sort of guarantees on paper going forward, so I'm getting secure after this pandemic crisis is over. Start making demands, people, and start getting organised, because at times of crisis, one thing I know for certain, especially times of like crisis during a wartime government, which is what we've got because of this, you know, basically nothing being open and the shutdown of the economy in the middle of a market crash as well. It's almost unprecedented. In times of crisis, people are grabbing for power all over the place. At times of crisis, there was major opportunity. There's a big opportunity here for the workers, not just of this country, but of the world. And of uniting together and saying, we're not going to put up with your shit anymore. We're not going to put up with you taking all the power and feeding us on breadcrumbs. You're going to start treating us more equally. And stop treating us like we're the lower class animals in George Orwell's Animal Farm.